Well, in this section, we're going to do the creation of Cassandra cluster with three servers. First of all, we will create a test environment. This can be done with virtual machines, Docker, and K8s. We must consider the minimum and necessary requirements, which are 2 cores and 8 of RAM, as well as Java 8. In this case, as we can see it in the left part, we are using a test environment in Amazon Web Service of 3 servers. In the right part, we can see that we connect to the servers through SSH with 3 different IPs. Okay, let's enter the 3 services. For the installation of Java and Cassandra, I'm using a script with the following commands. First, we create a file with touch and the name of your choice. Then we copy the code into it. Well, in this part, we update the package, we install Java 8, we install HTTP protocol dependencies for intercluster communication, we add Cassandra repository as well as the key, we redo a package update to consider Cassandra repository, we are installing Cassandra, now we save. Now, we might repeat the same process on the other 2 servers. We are going to give them permissions. We give permissions to the other 2 servers. We run the script. And also in the other 2 servers. By default, Cassandra will automatically deploy where only one server will be running. After the configuration, we will make the 3 servers belong to the same cluster to be synchronized. Let's see the other ones. Now we verify that it is deploying Cassandra with this command. Cassandra's output shows the deployment of Cassandra cluster on a single server which we are using. So, in order to configure, we must edit Cassandra YAML file. Here, we must edit all the following sections within the same file. The first is test cluster. As it is a test, we are only keeping them, but the name of the cluster must be changed in all servers belonging to the same cluster. We look for the first file that it is sits, and we must change the seeds IPs by a list of private IPs, separated by commas, of all servers. This will belong to the cluster. After we go to listen address, this is for external applications or servers to be able to make requests to this server. We add the IP address of the server itself. Now, we look for this another one. This RPC address is for users to make requests to this server. Now we configure the endpoints niche. This shows us the distribution of data between servers. Therefore, simple niche is when we use only one server. In this case, we manage 3 servers. So, we must change it to this parameter, rack inference niche. Now we are going to go to listen on broadcast. First of all, we are going to uncommit it. This enables the multicast or communications between clusters. Default, it is set to false, so we must change it to true. We save it and do the same process in the other 2 servers. We change the IP address. then the RPC address, after we go to endpoints niche, now listen on broadcast address, we save it and we do it the same in the third server. Once the configuration file has been modified, we must delete the Cassandra directory in var because it is being cached by default. For this, we follow these next commands. Then we create the same file we change Cassandra's user Now we restart Cassandra's service. It will restart automatically and we must do the same process in the following servers. We must consider the IP address that was assigned to the new rack. After that, we must perform the same process on the other two servers. Now we must add in the seats the different IP addresses of the other two servers. We only do this process once on a single server. Since they are in the same cluster, name will be synchronized and configured on the other two servers. Now we save it and restart Cassandra service. We can use the node status command to test that it worked, and we can list the servers that are inside the cluster. And this time we will see that the cluster is synchronized and we show the servers belonging to the cluster. This could take some time. Now let's create a database. We will use the CQLSH tool to connect to the Cassandra cluster. We will do this on a single server, and at the end of the synchronization, we will use another command. To verify the information of the cluster, we put show host, and it shows us which server and port we are connected to. To create our first database table, we need to create a key space. We give it the parameters with the replication class, a simple strategy which is the way of the comparison that we will use, and the amount of replication, in this case 3 because our 3 servers. We now create a normal table. We indicate that this table will be called book. We insert information into our tables. At this moment, our database is already created. With the last step, we already have our first database table. So, we leave the server and enter another server in the cluster to show that it is synchronized. As we can see, it shows us that our database are synchronized. That's all. We are able to create our database, our Cassandra cluster. That's all for today. Thank you very much.